Welcome back to home training and our Sunday shift. Really glad you can join us here again. This is the third week of a 6-week series in which we look to create some subtle shifts in our energy, in our physical well-being, as well as the emotional well-being, particularly here during the holidays. So last week we focused a lot on kind of some ergonomics of the hands, forearms, shoulders, way to minimize stress, improve our function at the office or at the desk. Today we're going to look at the hips, and the same way that our shoulders, wrists, forearms might get tired from prolonged positioning, so do the hips. And little movements throughout the day can have tremendous benefits. And part of our job is just to identify what movements does my body need. And the best way to do that is to explore movements in all planes. So that's what I'm bringing to you today are some simple patterns, some simple poses. And I say simple, they're actually quite challenging for me because I am tight in my hips, tight in the low back. But the overall effect after I do these so-called simple poses is really a wonderful feeling of well-being. They may not look pretty, the poses themselves may not look perfect by any means, but I'm looking more at functional movement and how can we create functional range of motion in these hips. And that may not be for all of us the look of a pro athlete or a ballerina. It may just be what feels good in our body. So I'll give you some alignment cues, some recommendations to enhance the patterns, but just know everybody's going to look different based on their body type. When we talk about the hips, briefly, I want to think about the hip flexors and the hamstrings. That'll be our focus today, and they both attach to the pelvis. And the pelvis is considered kind of this key point of control within the body. When all the attachments, muscular attachments become really tight, it's hard to have free mobility within the pelvis. Likewise, when we tend to be rather weak or loose through those muscles, same thing, there might be excess mobility in the pelvis, which could also contribute to some problems. Hip flexors, when they are tight, they pull the body, which I know you can kind of see, into a little bit more excess lordotic curve. So I want to work today on picking up and lengthening these hip flexors, and part of that comes with utilizing our core. If you take my Pilates classes, you know I'm often encouraging you to activate left, right, center, low abdominals because they pick up on the pelvis and bring it to a more neutral position. When it comes to our hamstrings tend to have the opposite effect. Tight hamstrings pull us into more of a posterior tilt, and they again really change kind of the function of the core muscles surrounding them. So today we're going to work on some balance between the hamstrings and the hip flexors using poses like pyramid pose, our crescent pose, a bit of warrior one I believe will also be adding to that. And then just think of your basic stretches like a quad stretch and a hamstring stretch. We will integrate those as well within our practice. Okay? But ideally, let's focus on our breath. Let's focus on movement. We're moving slowly here. This is not a type A yoga class where we power through and see how much sweat we can generate. Instead, we try to create awareness, kind of slow down our movement patterns a bit, tap into our breath, and make sure we're cultivating our energy from a place of well-being and not feeling in this rushed, anxious state. So for that matter, you may find that you're better off doing this workout in sections. You might not feel like you have an hour to devote to it, and that's fine. Do what works for you. So just start in a comfortable seated position here. Close your eyes. And take some breaths here that bring your attention to your spine. Lately I've been referring to it as our energetic highway. So that line of energy from head to tail. That sends impulses and signals to our muscles to activate. Take your right arm out to your side. Bring the left arm by your ear. Just take an easy float over. Bring yourself back up. Take that to the opposite side. Easy float over. And picking it back up. Good. Slide the fingers out a little further. And then find that side bend. Think of anchoring the opposite hip. And bring it back up. Same thing here. Sliding out. Holding, breathing there. And then bring yourself back to center. Good. All right. Meet me on your back. And we'll do as we often do, finding our cat-cow here in supine. So on our back, that cat-cow action of arching, anterior tilt of the pelvis, and of gently flattening or tucking your low back, posterior tilt of the pelvis. And then work through those positions a few times. Let's inhale as we arch, and exhale as we gently tuck. Feel the tripods of your feet anchored into the earth. And notice the relationship here between the head and the tail again. So as you arch that tailbone down, chin draws down. As you curl the tailbone up, you might find the chin lifts up a little bit. This is all that internal fascia that connects you head to tail. Gently being hydrated, being stretched. Good. And then pause in your center. Can you activate those deep lower abdominals on your exhale without tucking or arching the back? Just draw them in, but don't change that neutral pelvis position. So a lot of our emphasis today on lengthening hamstrings and hip flexors will be on maintaining neutral pelvis. So feeling that on your back, on your side, on your belly, helps you to better kind of control the movement of the body. Bring your right knee tabletop. Take your hands behind your right thigh. Actively reach your heel to the sky and bend it a few times here. Straightening and bending. Pause in that straight extension. Press your thigh into your hands. And then a little release. 2 more times here. Just an active hamstring stretch. Pressing away. And release. Last time here, and press. Release. Replace your right foot to the earth. Same thing here with the left. Actively press your thigh into your hand, and then reach that heel up and bend. And press. Do you still feel neutral in your pelvis as you're straightening the leg? Might be a lot easier to maintain neutral with that knee bent. Once we bring the hamstrings into play, they start to pull and tug us into that tucked position. Our goal is to lengthen our spine and lengthen the hamstrings. Very good. And then replace that foot back down to the mat. Roll to your side, and having a towel or a blanket here might be helpful. So continuing our warm-up in consideration of the hip movement, move to a side lying position. As I recall, we did a similar movement last week. Extend the top leg out and lift the leg hip height. Think of lengthening the tailbone so we haven't tucked nor arched. And then gradually pass that leg slowly back in line with your body. And bend the heel towards your tush. Extend it back out. And pass it back through. Good, let's repeat that a few times. So inhale, press the leg long. Exhale, draw the belly in, bend the knee, kind of like large bicycles in Pilates. And extend the leg out and pass it back through. One more time. Is the pelvis staying neutral or is it rocking back and forth? Can you keep that stable center? And bend, right? So that would almost take you to your traditional quadricep stretch. I'm not going there yet. And extend, and then bring yourself back to the front. And here in the front, rest that leg down and take a nice delicious twist for the upper just migrate to the ceiling. Actively reach through that top heel, that long extended leg. Breathe here. What's it like to breathe in this side winding type of position? It creates some new spaces for us. Good. And then close that arm back up, bend the knee, sit up, and let's take that to the opposite side. Okay. So make sure you feel fairly neutral in the head-neck position here on your side. The yoga block might work as well. Start with the knees bent, arms extended, and then take that top leg out. You could start with it just resting on the ground, but then we activate middle glute to lift it up. Draw the belly back and draw that leg back in line with your body. Bend heel, bend knee, heel to behind, and then extend it and return. Pass through that a few times. Just see what kind of length you can create. See what kind of stability you create. Are you holding your breath? Try to breathe generously. One more time and press it back. Quad stretch without overarching your low back. Extend it back out. Return that leg back out in front. And then rest the leg down. Keep actively reach through your heel, but draw back with your sitting bone. Okay? So you've got energy in both directions. And then take the top arm, gently spiral it, head and neck follow. Right? This could just be an awesome stretch if you're feeling a little stuck during the day. Just 3 or 4 minutes. Focus on your hamstring, hip flexor, and then a nice giant twist. Great. Return that hand back to your center. And then bend the knee and bring yourself up. We'll move to cat-cow in kneeling. So use the blanket if you like to pad your knees. Hands are under shoulders, knees are under the hips. Inhale, pull your collarbones forward, pull the chest forward, pull the gaze forward, but not so heavy in the neck. Just think of that upper thoracic back bend. And then from the tailbone curling under, gently round, lift the abdominals. Inhale, traction, lengthen. And exhale, curling. One more time here. Inhale into that length. Exhale into your curl. Add to that a little moving cat-cow. With that deep curl in place, sit your hips down towards your heels. Then undulate your spine. Bring it forward into your extension. Curl into your cat and pass back. Pull forward, heart moving. Last time here, and curl. And sit your hips back on those heels. Pause here. Move into a high kneel position. Take the arms alongside of you and just inhale, press the arms up overhead. As you exhale, rotate to your right, sit your hips back to your heels, introducing just a little twist. We're going to add some twist to our poses today. Inhaling up to the center, and exhale, sit the hips back down. Good, one more time there. Inhale to lift, and exhale, rotate. Inhale, high kneeling, belly in and up, and exhale, we twist. Great, come back up to the center. Press the hands down behind your hips. Clasp them if that's available to you. Otherwise, just reach the arms down long. Either way, pick up the heart, ramp the head a little bit. Kind of find that ear over shoulder position. Good. Release the hands. Bring them out in front. Curl your toes under. Find your down dog. Head heavy, hips lifted. Then be in your breath here. Just stay here, hold here for about 5 deep breaths, pressing the chest to your thighs. Take a moment to tune into your body.
don't move so quickly that it's an out-of-body experience. Yoga is an internal one, and one of being mindful of not just our physical well-being, but that of our thought life, emotional well-being. Lift the heels, bend the knees, look forward, and step to the front edge of the mat. Bring the hands to your shins like we often do. Find your flat back, half fold here. Exhale, fold forward. 2 more times there. Inhale, try to lengthen head to tail. What would neutral pelvis look like in this position? As you exhale and curl, you find more of that low back rounding from the hamstrings. One more time. Inhale. You can have soft knees here. And exhale, forward fold. Strong legs, root to rise. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. And then exhale, the hands to heart center. All right, let's go through a couple of sun salutation A's, just a nice way to pair the movement with the breath. Feet, knees, hips start together. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, bend those knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to your plank. Always your choice. I'm going to do my first plank with my knees down. As I lower through chaturanga, elbows in close to the sides, and just bring your chest down to the mat to warm up your low cobra. Pulling the heart gently forward, lengthening through the back of the body. House the neutral pelvis here. As you start to activate that upper back, are you finding that your behind wants to lift? Can you draw those abdominals and lengthen the tailbone and just do the upper body back bend? Good. Lower it back down. Let's do that 2 more times. Extension is energizing, and I find it particularly healing against the forces of gravity, kind of lifting, opening the chest, strengthening the back body, and lower down. 1 more time here. Inhale, find that length. Hug the elbows. Nice and loose in the neck. You're just natural cervical curves of the neck. Lower your So we had a little break there due to one of those emergency broadcast systems alert. Good news, everything is fine. That's what it was alerting us to. So here at the top edge of our mat, back to sun A again. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, bend the knees, find that forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant, step back to your plank. Find your plank. Bend the knees and lower yourself down through chaturanga. Inhale to your low cobra. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Lower yourself down, curl the toes under, press up and through to your down dog. Head heavy. Thighs pressing back, sitting bones picking up. And 3 nice deep breaths here. Right? That's why we practice yoga. There's always interruptions or distractions or challenges. But what you do on the mat, you hope to do off the mat in terms of your reactions and behaviors. Lift the heels, bend the knees, look forward, step forward. Find that halfway lift again. Lengthen head to tail, lengthen sitting bones to heels. Exhale, fold forward. Strengthen the legs, brings you up. Inhaling to lift. And exhale, hands to heart. Good. Let's do 1 more. Hips, knees, toes forward. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Lift through your center. Exhale, bend the knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen head to tail. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to plank. Maybe this time you challenge yourself here with that stronger plank position. Inhale, lower through your chaturanga, and then lift into your up dog. So here you've got toes curled under, shoulders back, gazing up. Curl through those toes and press back to your down dog. That's an option. You can always just stay at your 4-point, your plank, whatever suits your body. Lift the heels, bend the knees, lift forward, step to the front edge. Inhale, halfway lift. Can you get any more length head to tail? And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. And exhale, hands to your heart. Okay, have your blanket handy if you need it to pad the knees. Blocks as well could be useful here. Let's begin with the left leg reaching back into lunge. Okay. So this would be crescent lunge to start. I want you to think of drawing the abdominals in, and if your leg goes straight and your back arches more significantly, there again, some tightness through the front of the hip. Do like I'm doing, soften the knee, draw up left, right, center a little bit more, and find arms up overhead and just find that stable crescent shape. There's a lot of strength to be found in this pose. Heavy through this front right thigh. Good. Bring the hands down by your hips and slowly lower that back knee down to the mat so that you are now in a lunge position. We're going to be a little wider stride here between that front foot and back knee. So it's almost like a modified crescent in some ways. Belly drawing in again. Lift the arms up. Take the right hand to your right hip and hinge forward, hinge forward, hinge forward, and bring that front hand down towards a block. Or the ground would be fine here too. And start to rotate your right shoulder, right rib cage, right heart, side, chest, gaze towards the ceiling there. Pause there, breathe there in that gentle twist. You can always look down, right? There should be no strain to the neck. Great. And then come back to the center. Here's your hip flexor stretch. Drop the hips back, lift the front toes up. Say hello to your hamstring. Let's work through that a few times. Inhale, draw the gaze, the chest forward. Exhale, drag the hips back, feel that right hip pulling back, left hip slightly forward, so you still feel neutral through that pelvis position, drawing forward into lunge, hip flexor, left hip flexor, and then pressing back, right hamstring. Good. Do that 2 more times. Inhaling forward, and exhaling back. Last time here, inhale forward. As you draw back, think of lifting your tailbone up, reaching your sitting bones behind you, keeping your spine as straight as you can so it's not this round collapse. There's a ton of energy through that energetic highway, head to tail, as you pause here and hold here. Great. And then come back to your center. Right foot nice and strong. We're moving back to that crescent lunge. Curl the back toes under and lift it up here. Okay, so here we are in low lunge. Inhale, sweep the arms back up to crescent. Let's find that twist again. So right hand to your hip. Begin hinging forward and rotate, pivot, left elbow towards right knee. Pause here, breathe here. Okay. You also have the option of just having that left hand towards the block, right arm, chest rotating. And now add to this a little bend and extension of the back knee. Inhale, bend. Exhale, pick up that thigh.
and bend, and lift. One more time, bend, and lift. Return the heart, chest towards the center. Straighten the front leg. Pull the heart forward, pull back with that right hip, and then allow your chest to just melt over that front leg. Breathing here. Right hip drawing back. Upper body lengthening up and over. One more time. Nice. Bend back into that front knee. Take your hands off the block. Step your front foot back to plank. And then press back into your down dog. Lift the heels, bend the knees, step forward, front edge of your mat. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep it up. Then exhale, hands to heart. So check in. How does the right side feel compared to the left? I feel a difference at this point. We're going to go back to the right leg lunge, so working the opposite side. Step that right foot back to lunge. And again, depending on the length of that hip flexor, you may need to bend the knee in order to keep your body from being too much in an anterior tilt. So I'm bending the knee, drawing up with the abdominals, and then just lifting the arms up overhead, finding that initial crescent lunge shape here. Breathing, holding here. I can still think of picking up that right thigh, so you don't have to have your right leg straight to pick up the thigh. I can still energetically lift that right thigh as I press through my right heel. Nice. And now gradually, hands to the hips, lower yourself down. Knee can find its way to the blanket and find a lunge here with a fairly wide stride between that front and back leg. So we're not at 90-90. We're out in front, creating a little bit more stretch through that right hip flexor. Bring the right arm up by your ear. Find a hinge forward. And then the right hand can come to a block. And you can focus on rotating the shoulder to gaze. Or your right elbow can hook to your left knee. And pause here, breathe here in this low lunge twist. Pulling slightly back with the left hip, forward with the right. Good. And then return back to the center. We'll take those half splits. Inhale, drawing back through the sitting bones, back through the spine, back through that left leg, saying hello to the left hamstrings. And then exhale, draw your heart, chest forward, right hip flexor. Inhale, drawing back. How long can you keep the spine? And exhale, forward. That was one of the corrections my instructor gave me during yoga training is, take a look at yourself in the mirror. How much are you rounding your back in order to straighten the front leg? See if you can't keep the sitting bones, tailbone a little longer. I'm still getting a tremendous hamstring stretch. I don't have to have a straight leg to get a good hamstring stretch, but I'd rather lengthen my spine, spare it of stress, rather than lengthen the hamstring. One more time, bringing it forward and taking it back, heart forward, tailbone long. Those principles are reapplied to so many different cases, many poses and movement patterns. Nice. Come back to the center, curl the back toes under, and then it's the strength of the core lower body that lifts you up into your crescent shape again. Bring the left hand to your left hip. Start to reach forward. Your hand could come to a block to work into that rotated lunge, or your right hand could hook to the left knee And you press and lengthen. Still think of head to tail here, reaching long, picking up that back right hamstring. Breathing here for 3, and 2, and 1. Nice. Return back to the front. We'll take that modified pyramid pose, straightening the front leg, pulling the heart forward. Maybe you need to shorten the stance a little bit. Again, can you find length through your back? As you exhale and draw the body forward, torso relaxing down, still feel some reaching back of that right thigh and heel. Standing heavy in that front heel. Breathing here. Nice. Release it back, bend into that front knee. Bring both hands to the earth. Step back to your plank. Bend the knees, press up into your down dog. One more nice deep breath here. Lift the heels, bend the knees, step it forward. Halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Root to rise. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And exhale, hands to heart center. So that's round 1 of our standing poses. Already you should be noticing some changes perhaps in the balance of your body. If you have a block, let's use it here for chair pose. I'm going to place it right above the knees, really pressing into those inner thighs. Sit the hips back, bring the arms with it, press into the center, lift through the abdominals, and then exhale, stand it back up. Good. And again, sitting the hips back, heart lengthening, and exhale to stand. 2 more times. Inhale down, and exhale, lift. Inhale, take the hips back, pause there with the hips back, reach through the fingers, lengthen through the crown of the head. Keep the hips low, lift the arms high. 2 more nice deep breaths here. Great, and then return back to standing. All right, no block, standing cat-cow. So we do that a lot in 4-point, also on our back. See what it's like here to soften the knees a little bit. On the out-breath, on the exhale, round the tailbone, let the gaze sink down. On the inhale, pick up the heart, reach the tailbone back behind. Repeat that a few times. Exhale, find the curl. Inhaling into your extension. One more time. So we want that pelvis to be able to move equally through both directions. Nice. And then bring yourself up to stand. All right, our second set of standing poses. We're going to start as we did before. Left leg reaching back into lunge. Bring the arms up overhead for crescent. And let's add some movement to this. Now go over your checkpoints. Reaching back through the hamstring, reaching back through the heel, lifting up through the belly, feeling pretty neutral here through pelvis. Inhale, hinge out over that front thigh. And exhale, pick it back up. 2 more times. Inhale and reach. And exhale, return. Last time here, inhale to reach. And exhale, return. Bring the hands to your hips. Lower the back knee down. And this time we will be more paired in 90-90 lunge. So one of the hip flexors, iliacus, is well found through a side bending. So lift that left arm up by the ear. Feel a little traction of front heel to back knee. And then take a side bend. Side bending. Inhale back up. One more time. Maintain neutral here as you side bend. And then return back to the center. Nice job. Inch that front foot forward a bit and bring your forearm to that front knee, like you're posing for a picture. Okay? Little quadricep stretch here. So an active bend and extend. This would feel much better padded with the blanket. And bend and extend. Good. And bend, right? So the next objective would be to find that ankle and introduce a little deeper quadricep stretch. This is obviously a really challenging one for me. And one nice way to modify this, back yourself up to a wall and use the wall as a little leverage here. So right foot forward, I could start to back that knee up and find a more moderate quad stretch here, but it feels so much more focused in terms of my alignment. The extra action to try to reach around, grab, pull might not be the best for my hip flexor at this point, just because it is tight. However, I can maintain a very square frame here. I can add to it that little extra arm lift. Right, so whether you modify with the wall, we also do this on the belly a lot. We'll do it in standing today. Good. And then bring the hands back down. Remove that foot. We'll go back to our regularly scheduled programming with the right foot forward, left knee back, and then curl that back foot up. Find your lunge shape here. So low lunge. And then transition into pyramid. So narrow up that stance a little bit. Anchor the back heel, straighten the front leg, and find your square shape here before then reaching head to ankle. Pause and breathing there. Reaching actively through that back heel, squaring up right hip back. Very good. And then release from that. Swivel back on your toe and then walk to the front long edge of your mat for a wide-legged straddle. So heels are slightly out, toes slightly in, heart pulling forward. Walk your hands out a little further to create some traction and lengthen head to tail here. So I'm not heavily folding and rounding my spine. I'm still pressing thigh bones back, pressing sitting bones back, pulling heart forward, and maybe a little bend in the knees there. Walk your hands to your right side, still reaching long, and go into a little bend and stretch here of the knees. Little bend and stretch, not forcing anything. Good. And then come back to the center, walk the hands back under, find that flat halfway lift, and then renegotiate back to the front edge of your mat. Step your front foot back to lunge, or plank rather, and then press back to down dog. Let the head be heavy. Good. Lift the heels and bend the knees. Step forward, front edge of your mat. Inhale, press head to tail, lengthen. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. Right, let's do the opposite side. So like before, we'll step back, this time with the right leg into lunge, and find your crescent shape again. Okay, so repeating that pose. Heavy through the front thigh, lift it through the abdominals, adjust that back leg as you need, and then pair movement with breath. Inhale, reach, and exhale, lift. Inhale, reach, and exhale, lift. One more time, inhale, reach, and exhale, lift. Good. can come down to the hip. And we'll lower ourselves back down. Knee finds its way to the mat. 90-90 lunge here. Right arm up by your ear this time. And then introduce the side bend here. Sandwich, belly towards the back, and you'll get a better stretch for that front hip. Inhale back to the start. One more time, find that lift, find your side bend. And then return. Nice job. All right, widen that stance a little bit. This is where the knee or the wall might be helpful. I'll just start with the knee on the blanket. So widen the stance and then adding an active element of a hamstring curl. Okay, so I'm trying to strengthen the hamstring as I stretch the front of the hip flexor. And then taking this to perhaps a true quad stretch, but there's many ways to do this quad stretch that don't require as much balance. A little bit more ease. Good. I can still think of lifting my heart. Maybe I can think of lifting the arm without overarching through my back, trying to keep all those key points square. Good. And then release that foot. Let's check this at the wall as well. So backing that blanket up, finding the wall that's available to you. Left foot forward, and then position that right knee close to the wall. The foot can rest under. And from there, it's more accessible to me personally. So that first version is a bit more intermediate. This too tends towards more intermediate. On your stomach, hugging the heel into your backside, a more beginner quad stretch, and we'll look at that as well. Great. Release from there. Bring yourself back out towards your lunge position. Curl your back toes under, and then lift the arms up. Moving to pyramid, pivot that back heel so you have a heel-to-heel alignment here. Straighten the front leg. Hands can come to your hips, maybe reaching to the blocks, reaching towards the ground as you need. But first find length. It's less about bending, more about lengthening, and then allow that head, chest, shoulders to rest down towards the mat. I'm still actively engaging left hip back, right pelvis forward. Trying to keep my body square. Like we said, not pretty poses, but functional, alignment-oriented movement patterns here to enhance our health. Great. And then release from there. Pivot yourself now to the long edge of your mat. I'll turn around. Find the hinge of the hips. The arms reach down, so you're in like a half lift in a wide-legged straddle. Walk the arms out a little bit more, tractioning, sitting bones, hamstrings reaching back. And then this time walk the hands towards the left. Pause there, take a little bend and a little straighten. Bend and straighten. Good, and then come back to your center. Walk the hands in. Pivot to that left lunge position. Step back to your plank. Drop down to your knees. And lower yourself down to the mat. So while we're thinking about quadriceps stretching, let's pair the front of the hips with the back of the hips a bit with that familiar swimming cross-crawl movement. So floating your nose just right above the mat. Lift right arm and lift with left leg. Lower it down. Lift left arm, right leg. And lower down. Good. Continue there. So your spine is staying neutral. Pelvis is staying neutral. We haven't introduced any arcs
or bending into flexion. We're just reaching and reaching. Good, one more set there. Breastbone reaching forward. And then rest it all back down. Make a pillow for your forehead. Narrow up the legs and then bend your right knee. Okay, so we did the quad stretch in kneeling. We did it against the wall. Here's another option. Hand to ankle. I like to make these more active oriented poses, postures. So press your foot into your hand and then gently release. 2 more times. Still feel like the pelvis is towards the mat rather than lifting away into a arch. 1 more time and press and release. Very nice. Let that leg rest. We'll go opposite side. Forehead resting on the hand. Gently press your foot into your hand and release for 3. And press, release for 2. Press, release for 1, and return that leg back home. Very good. Take the hands under your shoulders. Press yourself up and just take a little child's pose here. Turn the palms up, sit the hips back. Breathe. Good. And then hands come under the shoulders. Curl those toes under. Find your down dog. Head heavy. Sitting bones rotating up. Thighs pressing back. Chest pressing back. Lift the heels, bend the knees, and step it forward. Front edge of your mat. Find your flat back hinge. And forward fold. Sweep the arms up overhead. And find the hands to your heart. Nice work. So we're going to take a look at a couple of standing exercises. And they'll be familiar to you. We've done them in various postures already, starting with that side line. When we were in side line and we took the legs straight out in front, let's try to do that here in standing. So actively press the hands together here, and then shift the weight one side or the other and pick up one knee. Just kind of find your balance there. An easy gaze, a drishti. Find your cactus arms. Do you feel neutral in the pelvis? Are you overly tucking? Do you feel overly arched? Can you find that center place of balance? And then can you extend that leg out and bend it in? 2 more times, and reach and bend and reach and bend. Pass that knee through. Take your hand, take hold of the ankle, opposite arm could go up by your ear, and just pause here. So here's your standing quad stretch. Easy gaze, good balance, full breath. And then give that a shake. We'll go to the opposite side. So hands start again at the center. Lift up one knee. Find your balance there. Arms can widen into your cactus arms. I like here to think of elbows slightly forward, palms slightly back. That will help open the shoulders. And then work on that extension. And bend. And extend. And bend. Good. One more time here. Extend. And bend. Bringing that leg, passing it through for your quadriceps stretch. Opposite arm can lift up. You're reaching that knee to the ground. I can tell I've created a subtle change because usually when I do this stretch, my knee ends up more in front of me because I'm tight in the front of the hip. But right now it's moving with a little bit greater ease to be pointing directly down to the ground. Yay for me. Good. And then let that go, give it a shake. Okay, one more set of balance. We're going to put the exercise that we
sideline. We're going to put it into an upright position. So start with the hands on the hips. Pick up one leg and extend that leg out in front of you. As you pass the leg back, teeter-totter the torso up. Draw the heel towards your backside. Extend it out. Pass it back through. Leg lifts up in front. Good, do that again. Pass the leg back. We could take our arms up overhead. Pause there. Bend the knee. Extend the leg. And pass it back through. One more time. Nice strong standing leg. Pass it back. Bend it in. Extend it out. And bring it back up. Good. Return the arms, return the legs. Give it a little shake. Opposite side. Hands to the hips for this first one. Pick up the knee. Extend that leg out long. Good. Pass it through. Teeter-totter the chest. Find that energetic highway. Bend the knee. Extend. And bring it back through. Good, bringing that leg up. Repeat that a few times. Let the thoughts come and go. They sometimes like to impede our progress. You can bend and extend and pass it back through, picking that leg up. Good, one more time. Remember how this felt on your side. How much more work, how much more of the challenge here in standing. But the challenge is good for us. And then bring it back in to that start. Very nice. And then give it a little shake. Good. All right. We're going to take it down to the mat for our figure four. However, since we've used the wall a little bit today, I want to give you an option here. It just kind of occurred to me, figure four on the wall. So crossing, using the wall for support, making figure four here at the hips, sinking the hips back, and holding, pausing there. And you may not need that wall. Can you still find your normal lumbar curve so we have it tucked here, lengthening through the heart and the chest? Good. Another way to do this is to literally place your foot on the wall. And that gives you some nice feedback as a little prop here for support. Good. And then bring it back up. Let's do the opposite side. So figure four cross, square up the hips. As you sink back, try not to let the back round. Keep the belly lifted. Find that nice standing figure four. Right, you can challenge the balance here a little bit. Hands towards that shin if you like. Or you could negotiate foot against the wall, getting in a little closer, sitting back into those hips, pressing the foot actively into the wall. Super. And then reverse from there, release, give it a shake. All right, take yourself down to your mat. Let's stay with the wall in mind for our next figure four stretch. So nice for the hips, right foot planted, left ankle crossed onto my right thigh, my left hand's pressing there in that figure four shape. Now this is a great place to tune into what's the pelvis, how is it accommodating this position? Do you feel neutral? Do you feel tucked? You might shimmy yourself away an inch or so from the wall. If you're too close, that could affect the length of your tailbone here. Really nice place to go for a supported figure four. And then let's switch. So opposite foot plants, opposite ankle crosses, and my hand's going to provide some energy to try to maintain a true figure four, right? I don't look like a figure four when my knee is in towards my chest, but once you start to open it up, you can visualize that image.
As you gently stretch there, don't forget the belly breath, the support. I can look at my pelvis and see I was rotating heavier to my right side. Can I square that up a little bit? Not pushing through the lumbar. Very good. And then release from there. All right, scoot yourself back on the mat. Take your feet about as wide as the edge of the mat and find a gentle little windshield wiper shape here of the hips and knees. As you rock the hips and knees to one side, it might feel good to you to take your head in the opposite direction, forming a bit of a diagonal. Inhaling to the center and exhale it over. Inhale, center, and exhale. So allow your body this time to absorb the practice, to integrate all that you just experienced, and then bring it back to the center. Heel toe the feet together. A yoga block here might be nice for our bridge. Same like we did with chair pose, place it between the thighs. Press the arms into the earth. And then from the pelvis, spin the pubic bone towards your belly button. Keep that action of gently spinning as you lift. So my hip bones are level to my ribs, or maybe even a little higher than my ribs. I'm going to try to avoid this tendency to like to really arch in the back and instead use the muscles of the hamstrings to gently curl. So strengthening the hamstrings after we did a lot of movements that would help stretch them. Good to get back into that strength component. And then roll yourself back down. And let's do that one more time. Curling the spine up, lifting it up, arms pressed down, hips are high. Gazing to the sky. And then roll yourself back down all the way through. Very good. Take that block away. Set it aside and extend the legs. Take any extra movements that you might need here. Allow the eyes to close and welcome in this time of rest. Of no longer doing, but simply being present, being aware, being in the moment, being at rest. So you are welcome to stay here as long as you like. Otherwise, move the fingers and the toes, introduce a little movement to your body. Bend your knees, roll to one side, and then using your hand, press yourself up. Into a comfortable seated position. Check in and see how your body feels. And then bring your hands to your heart. It's been my honor to practice with
hope you feel well. I hope you find some little nuggets of information, of movements, of breath work that just helps you to be more acquainted and touch understanding of your own body. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you, friends.